Alright, welcome back to Jarrell's Productions here, where today we're going to be covering the story of Benedict Arnold. But before that, I'm going to ask you a question. What video do you guys want to see next week? The story of Narciso Lopez, the great Cuban filibuster who tried to liberate his island from Spanish rule, or the Battle of San Juan Hill, where Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders defeated the Spanish and kicked them out of Cuba in 1898. Alright, so let's begin with the story of Benedict Arnold. Oh, and by the way, vote in the comments section. Alright, Benedict Arnold. He was a businessman in Connecticut, and when the Revolution occurred, he joined the Continental Army. Well, it wasn't really a Continental Army then, because they hadn't declared independence. This is in 1775, you have to remember that. But Benedict Arnold, he wins the Battle of Saratoga, where he defeats the the battles of Saratoga. Remember, there were multiple battles at Saratoga. And however, the victory was credited to his boss, Horatio Gates, which infuriated Arnold. And at the Battle of Saratoga, he was shot in his leg. The same leg which earlier in the Revolution, he had also been shot at the Battle of Quebec City. Now, the doctors wanted to amputate his leg, but Benedict Arnold refused. Now, after this, the doctors tried to reshape all the parts of his leg into something that he could lay weight on, and that somewhat worked. And after these two ventures, he is a little exhausted, and soon Washington, the commander of the Continental Army, promotes him to military governor of the city of Philadelphia. And remember, he is from Connecticut, and the British have ransacked a lot of his property holdings there, and just to make some money, he tries to, as military governor, pull some strings and try to make some money off of the shipping industry in Philadelphia. And when he does, he gets court-martialed and is acquitted on some of the charges, but he basically gets out unscathed, and he prints the entire court proceedings in multiple languages. And after this, he thinks of defecting, and he speaks to Major John Andre of the British Army. Now, this major is the intelligence head in the 13 colonies, and they're meeting when John Andre goes from New York north into the city up the Hudson River to where Benedict Arnold is currently posted at this time. They meet, and Benedict Arnold agrees that he's going to defect later, but it takes a little bit of time, and Brits and the Americans notice Arnold's ship. Andre Arnold, you can see how it's a little bit difficult. So then, after this, Andre is captured when trying to retreat back to New York City on foot. He's captured by either privateers or New York militia. I cannot remember. One or the other, doesn't really important. So he's handed over, and he gets to speak with General George Washington, and he's tried and found guilty of spying. But during this time, when he realizes that Andre has been captured, Benedict Arnold flees where his estate, and goes into some boat with a few fishermen, and pays them off, and he gets taken down the Hudson River into New York. And as this is happening, American intelligence come to Washington just moments after Benedict Arnold left, saying that Benedict Arnold is a traitor. And then, after this, Benedict Arnold joins the British. The Americans negotiate that we'll give you Andre if you give us Benedict, but that would set a precedent that if you defect, you can get sent back, which would discourage that. So Andre gets killed, and he is hung as a spy, but in a soldier's uniform. And after this, Benedict Arnold forms the American Legion under the British Army. It's a loyalist militia. And he loses the war, and of course the war is lost. But every time he met another British general, a British colonel, a British officer that he's previously met in battle, he speaks to them on how he could have easily beaten them during the Continental Army and what they did right. So, not really good way to make some friends. And after the war is lost, he tries to speak to King George to plead he has a plan, but that he falls on deaf ears. And he goes into the shipping industry in Canada, but Canada's trading partner at the time was, well, and still is, America. And so he just goes back to New York with Peggy Shippen, who was his wife this entire time. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, the story of Narciso Lopez or the Battle of San Juan Hill. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.